So, hi, my name is Miloš. I'm sorry for English and I'm sorry for the time frame. We don't have much time and I have a shitload of stuff to say, so I have to run fast.
Miloš, we have got time.
Yeah?
A little bit sooner.
Okay, better. I'm relaxed. But before I start, I really want to thank all the participants because a few stuff that I want to say is basically mentioned already, and it gives me a really great feeling that like half of the industry or most of the industry is going forward. So it's going to be really finally an exciting way to move forward entire additive manufacturing. So of course, I rearranged half of the presentation before arriving, but I wanted to speak more about what is additive and why switch to additive, and okay, of course, mention what Formlabs is doing, and if the time allows, to scratch on the surfaces of what is the application. But half of the stuff why I say it gives me a great feeling that we move forward together is we know the industry is growing. Yes, we know the growth is going to be a bit more or less, or we're going to downfall, which is also a good thing, because finally we are moving away from this hype of the bubble. If you remember, 8 years ago, 5 years ago, all the headlines were, with 3D printing, we are printing organs and skis and food at your house. This was every magazine possible. So God bless, that bubble is burst, and now we can move into more mature phase. And coming to the beginning of the presentations, I have similar that you showed, but with the only small caveat. I'm a mechanical engineer, and 10 years ago when I switched to sales, I noticed that I tend to get to more detail-oriented and practical. And when speaking with a lot of non-technical people, I tend to sound like, this is really good because it's fast, I don't know what you're speaking about, and I have no idea what is it good. So to most of the people, when they're considering additive, it's one of the questions, what is the benefit for my business? You can put that on the list. And 4 ways, also it was shown, but with a small caveat that number 1, we call it the static or stasis, but it's where most of us started. It's where you you're not heavily involved into additive, but you still do redesigning or some design phase or form, fit, and function, or even some sort of fixtures. So you're there, you're into the additive, you just don't disrupt the process or the product itself. And if we move to the right, it's to us or to me, it's a supply chain, because we know from the logistics that supply chain wants to get closer to the customers or closer to the demand. So even if you don't go and disrupt the entire process or product itself, you can still be into additive and still make a benefit for your business. And then, of course, number 3 is what was already mentioned. Either you consolidate the part, what was done here, or you make something that was not possible to be done before. And 4 is, of course, you combine everything else. But also coming back to, because we are usually compared as a 3D printers to what is traditional, and traditional is either CNC or injection molding, and there are few ways when you think about it. So additive, it's a blue line. It's not really entirely flat, we know it, but it's better looking if you compare it to what we are compared as injection molding. So there is a high initial cost, and there is something that it's called minimum efficiency scale. Basically, I paid something 1 million euros, and I have to produce 35 million parts of it, so my part is 0.2 cents. And when we switch it around and say, okay, we can be really flexible, there is not that what we call financial risk or depreciation, because if you buy something with high level investment, that means you have to use it for the next 7 to 10 years. So basically you have to start with an end in mind. What the market is going to look like in 10 years, and will I be able to use it? Which is a bit frightening to me. Okay, focusing on Formlabs and EMEA, worldwide, globally, just roughly take 2.5 and multiply, and you get Formlabs in worldwide, but this is not really that important. What I really want to speak, yes, Formlabs, we said it's a big marketing phrase, a slogan, but what is in the DNA is we want to make 3D printing accessible, and this is the Formlabs since day 1. We are not as old company. We are new to the market, but still we are trying to make something good. And when you think how to make something really accessible, well, there are two approaches drawing from the past. If you remember what Intel did in the computers, you take one piece of the equipment, you multiply it, you make a zillion pieces of it, and you drive costs down. Or you do it with materials and the applications. With materials, we started humble, and now we are more than 21 plus materials that you can use. And basically materials is what is driving applications. And more applications are coming towards us than we are able to imagine it, because the users, the customers, are the ones that are driving it for now. And then you have the unit. It's out there exposed. This is the brand new Form 3, and there is Form 3L, it's a 3 divisor boot. But if you know anything about what Form 2 and Form 1 Plus look like, we expanded and we basically created a bit better. So we have a new, what we call the light processing unit, that allow us to have the laser that is hitting the part perpendicular, always directly, and the new resin tank that is flexible. And why is that important? Well, if you know anything about the video is a bit chunky, but stereolithography has a bit of the supports, and removing those supports is usually a bit of the pain. So if we can make something that is flexible and easy to remove, then we are doing something right. So this allows us to have better surface, we have better output, better quality. This allows us to have incredible details, even if you're speaking at 100 micron levels. And if you haven't had the breakfast, this is for us the cereals of 3D printing. On Form 2 or most of our products before, it was, I have a bad feeling if I really need to remove supports like that, because I know I will tear something up. And now we reach the phase when we say, okay, you just steer away the supports, and you can create the assembly. Of course, everything is not only in hardware, half of it is in the software. So there are improvements coming along, as in the dashboard, more and more users are going to production phase or mass production as well. So it's important to control entire fleet of units, not just one. So there is a dashboard to control most of them, but I just picked a few features that I personally like, I'm sorry. But one of the things that I'm mostly excited is this adaptive layer thickness. Basically, you can print out what is really important for you in fine details, and everything else you just print super fast, similar to what we have in the FDM. Yes, the technical specs, but part of being an engineer, I'm also dyslexic, so I really have a thing against numbers, so I just try to skip towards that. But this is the part in 3L that I want to highlight. This is that I put in last night. Because 3L is down at the 3 divisor boot, but just to showcase what we've done, these light processing units, we just combined two of them. We are not really technically advanced to have quadruple ray lasers, but we're getting there. But also, it's not one laser printing one part at a time. They can work in unison on one part if needed to get greater speed or greater accuracy. And just for a highlight for people that are really asking me this on a daily basis, yes, we will release the Fuse one. We haven't forgot about it, but I'm so sorry about it. And to scratch the surface now a bit, there are big name sharing, but I tried to pick out a few that I personally like and a few that I think that are worth noble mentioning. One of them is the collaboration with, it's not Razor Maker, it's New Balance. I'm sorry, maybe I was sleepy. But if you remember those quadrants, it's now quadrant 4. Basically, you disrupt everything. You created something that was not possible before, and you relocate the supply chain manufacturing closer to the customers, so you're fast to react and you can customize everything by the customer demands. And yeah, the Gillette. What was also mentioned here today is part of the printing is automatization of the process. And this is exactly what we did for the Gillette part of these razors. You can not, I think, until next month will be available in Europe, but still for the Americans it's $30-something and you have it in a couple of weeks. And if you go to the website, you really pick what you like and you create your own design, you put your name and so on, you click order and off it goes to printer and starts printing. So we really are disrupting a market in a way, or business models. I have a bit of the thing against the big names and speaking about them since my days of engineer. When someone come into the office saying, you know, Airbus is using it, like, okay, but we are a 4-people shop, so it doesn't really correlate. But this I really like because it's the beginning of what is hybrid manufacturing. So you take a part, in this case with high temp material, you have to assemble it into multi-component and you do it in traditional way. So you take the best out of the both worlds in order to create fully functional product. Internal debate is whether Ashley or IKEA is the biggest furniture manufacturer, but nevertheless. And this is coming to a bit of the highlight for me. There are some companies that were able to adopt a lot of the 3D printing and additive worldwide quite easily, and some of them that are stuck, if you remember, in this first quadrant. And it's not all the time about money, I think, or the accessibility. I think there are some hidden elements, but this is really good highlight, showcase example of not one, but several printers in the factory and enabling that kind of knowledge to the people. And I will say more a bit in 2 slides. And Penkel Racing is now one of my favorite companies because this is our part. It's in highly abrasive surfaces, and this is the application we didn't know if it's really possible. But they said, okay, let's try. Cool, it works. And then we switched to the next part of disrupting the supply chain. Basically, if you can print it, then you don't have to store it. If this is for the customer, you don't have to store it in any kind of warehouses. You just can print it on demand. So we have a digital warehouses. And these are the examples that I really like as a Big Bosch in France that are, because we are now hitting the market or the applications with more than one printer. And we want to hit that level of predictability, and we need high volume production. So this is for us way to go. And this coworker of mine sent me, it's a wheelchair manufacturer, but epiphany of what additive to me is you take something that you produce early on and you say, okay, how can I improve it? Well, it's important that I have a weight reduction because weight reduction equals less money. Can I have it faster? And can I have it customized based on what the customer needs? And this is it. And MRC is the Sheffield Research Lab. And I say how some companies can adopt it and others not. They have, okay, 12, 20 printers at the moment, but instead of train a handful of people in the departments, they trained more than 100. So imagine you have an army of people thinking day and night about additive and what they can do. And this is, okay, I went super fast, I'm sorry. If you purchased one unit, and this was the mistake of myself when I was a reseller and switching from engineering, you start with an end in mind. This is what we are told. This is what we are told at universities. This is what I want to produce. This is what to produce with additive. Cool. And I need to produce 1,100 pieces, God knows what. Super. Then I need to produce this kind of equipment and that's it. If it costs a lot of money, that means that myself and a handful of my coworkers will be able to use it. And that's it. We are stuck. And this is a bit counterintuitive of what we basically all talk about additive. Additive needs to help us to reach the next level. So if we can go and use one same machine, one same system in all the departments, from product design, marketing to production, you expand. Imagine having all the people inside of your company thinking, oh, I can do this, I can do that, or maybe if I can do... It just sparks the creativity. And if we need to go to the next level, if we need to reach the output, we can do it also. But what is hidden, what is underlying benefit, this is scalable system. This is easy to implement. This is, let's say, no high initial cost and there is no problem with investment. and it grows with the customer, it goes with your business in a way. Okay, to iterate, yes. We can penetrate, we're scalable in all departments, from prototyping, marketing to production, and we deliver a cost competitive price. So I'm sorry for my super high speed, but I know that you're tired and want to get some coffee, so thank you.